Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Chris and I'm here with my friend Ashley today, and we're going to talk about chickens. So, first off, you're a vegan.
Yep, I'm
And
vegan.
how long have you been vegan?
I've been vegan for about 5 years now.
Awesome. And you have a chicken companion.
I do.
So, what made you want to get or rescue a chicken as opposed to like the more common like dog or cat?
Well, for a few years I worked at a farmed animal sanctuary down in the Catskill Animal Sanctuary, and there I was able to spend a lot of time with a lot of different farm animals, including chickens, and I completely fell in love with them. It's always been my dream to rescue animals, as most vegans are. Their dream is to have a sanctuary, but I never really thought that it would ever happen to me because of the finances and land and all that you need for farmed animals for a big sanctuary. While I was living down there, I unexpectedly rescued a chicken. Her name was Asa. She was a hen. And I didn't have any plans of having her live with me, but I do know some people who have lived with chickens, and they had basically talked me into it. And now, living with a chicken is just pretty much the same as a dog and cat. So
I saw him in there with you earlier,
Yep.
and I can hear him right now yelling at us.
Yep.
He wants to come out here. The one you have now is your second,
Yes.
and his name is Oliver?
Yes.
Okay.
I took him in last December. So
And what's a typical day? Like he follows you around, he goes to bed with you, and like you feed him, and he's almost like the same mannerisms as a dog or cat.
yeah. Yep. He wakes me up in the morning as like a dog or cat would, and the first thing we do is I give him breakfast, and then
What would a normal breakfast be for him?
for him I feed him it's a low-fat grain. I feed him, it's a parrot food, but it's really good for him because he's a rooster, because roosters really shouldn't.
Does he wake you up early in the morning like a rooster does?
Yes. It depends on the time of year. This time of year, because it's summer and daylight happens much earlier, it's usually about 5 o'clock.
So how old is he?
He just turned, well, I believe, I'm not sure because he was found abandoned, but from what I could tell and from what a vet could tell, I believe he just turned a year recently. So I think he's a little over a year.
Well, it's become more trendy to have backyard chickens. A lot of people do it for the eggs. There are problems with this. Can you tell me some of those problems, why it's not good to buy a chicken and then use them for their eggs?
So yeah, a lot of people nowadays, they think that it's much more healthier to raise their own chickens to eat eggs. And typically most people who do this, they go to a feed store and buy little baby chicks when they're really, really young. But what they don't realize is the chicks that they are buying, they all come from a big, huge hatchery that is basically man-made. And at these hatcheries, it's pretty much the same, it is the same as the industrial birds that you hear that are
Genetically.
they're genetically modified, but they all come from the same hatcheries that practice the same horrific things as separating the males and females when they're babies or just after they've hatched, and then the males are thrown into giant macerators or suffocated alive. A lot of people don't realize that these baby chicks that they get from the feed stores all come from that same hatchery. Baby chicks, when they buy them, most people, they only want hens because hens, they lay eggs. And feed stores usually advertise their baby chicks as hens, but when they're so young at that age, it's really hard to tell if they're boys or girls. So a lot of people, they buy a bunch of little baby chicks, and then they end up with a rooster or two, or they're all roosters.
That's not what they wanted, and
Yeah.
they don't want it anymore.
Yes. And that's where roosters comes in, and where I mentioned Oliver, he was abandoned. Roosters are actually one of the most abandoned animals on the planet because they are considered useless in the egg industry and backyard chickens. So they dump them, or some backyard chicken keepers actually kill them themselves.
So what would you say to the people that think it's okay to eat the eggs because they're going to lay them anyway? So what are we going to do with them? They take them and they eat them.
Well, the thing is, all chickens today are selectively bred to lay the amount of eggs that they do today. In the wild, before we basically messed up their bodies, they would typically only lay 12 eggs a year, which would just be to reproduce. But chickens today, because we've selectively bred them to lay so many eggs, that they lay 300 or more a year, which is a lot for their little bodies.
It takes a toll on their body.
Yeah,
and
it does.
They lose their calcium and every time that they produce an egg.
They're kind of forced into making more.
What would like a farm sanctuary do with the eggs when they lay them all?
The best thing to do is feed the eggs back to them, which sounds really weird, but feeding the eggs back to them will help them replenish all of those vitamins and minerals that they lose when they are laying so many eggs.
So it should go to them instead of the people.
Exactly. It's the same with industrial farmed birds. Because they are bred to lay so many eggs, it takes a toll on their body, so they're more apt to getting life-threatening reproductive problems such as cancer, egg yolk peritonitis, which is an infection from egg yolk being built up inside their bodies and it just sits there and rots, and reproductive prolapses, which is their organs falling out.
As far as like the gross factor, a lot of people don't realize that the egg comes out, it's called the quacula or the cloaca.
Yep.
The egg comes out of the cloaca, but it's the same place that they go to the bathroom and everything.
Yep, it's all comes from the same.
So that, not appetizing.
No, definitely not.
At all.
Mm-mm.
So speaking of problems that they end up getting because of, the genetically modified and how they're bred, your last chicken had problems. And was it like cancer or something? Because I know you were going to different vets and some of the best around. And
yeah, the first hen that I rescued, her name was Asa. She was just a backyard chicken. She was not like the industrial birds that lay every day. She laid eggs probably about 3 or 4 times a week, and she developed some reproductive problems. Her eggs were starting to bind up inside of her. She started to get some of the egg yolk material in her, and all of her organs inside were inflamed so much that it was affecting like her breathing and just everything in general. And she had to have a life-saving surgery in order to save her life, which she did, and then she survived that. And she did pass away this past January of cancer. It's an unrelated cancer, but she did unfortunately pass away from cancer. So.
But she probably had a way better life with you than where she was before.
Chickens are in need of rescue.
Especially the roosters, as you were saying.
Roosters especially. It's so hard because roosters they're abandoned and neglected so much that in general, because even a lot of towns don't allow roosters. So that's another reason why that they're often abandoned, is because the people's town, they prohibit roosters because they claim that they're a nuisance. They're loud.
Wake everyone up, right?
But dogs are much louder than them. And sanctuaries and rescues, they're over capacity with roosters, with how much that they're abandoned. If there's an abandoned rooster, it's really hard finding a home. So yeah, if you're in an area that allows roosters, they definitely need homes.
Yeah, I can just guess that there's probably like some support pages for having chickens and owners of chickens that you probably know about, right? Are there like websites or any other information people can go to check out if they're interested?
Yes, absolutely. There's a Facebook group called Vegans with Chickens. That is the best place to go. That's where I go if I ever have any like questions or problems, because there's so many people on there that are very knowledgeable and have done this for many, many, many years. And like visit a sanctuary, they are very knowledgeable as well if you have any questions or if you just want to like visit roosters. Yeah, I think that's pretty much the ones that I know of.
All right, guys. Well, I think that covers it. If you guys have any other questions, put them in the comments below. We'll try to see if we can answer those. And thank you again, Ashley.
Yep, thank you.
And Oliver. And don't forget to subscribe, survive, watch out for zombies, and I'll see you next time.